The 417 Gamers is a group of board, tabletop, and card gamers in the 417 area code. This is the podcast. Welcome to the 417 Gamer Podcast, the one with WamWam. Phil from WamWam Games comes back for episode 65. In the 4, we talk about 4 games. I talk Spooktacular. Andrea talks Please Don't Burn My Village. Phil talks Tornado Splash. And Andrea and I both talk French Toast. In the one topic of the show, we talked to Phil about WamWam Games. They're an independent design and publishing studio out of St. Louis, Missouri. And in the 7, Phil sits in the hot seat for the 7 questions of the 417 Gamer podcast. Without further ado, the 417 Gamer podcast. Welcome to the 417 Gamer podcast. My name's Rick.
And I'm Andrea.
And joining us from episode 65, Phil, say hi.
Hi, I'm still here. Phil Wamser from WamWam Games.
He is one half of WamWam Games.
One half of WamWam Games, along with Jacob Wamser, my brother.
We're going to get Jacob one of these days. He's like the elusive Pokemon.
Especially...
Is he the shiny WamWam?
Is he the shiny WamWam?
Yeah.
I think that is a perfect way to describe him, yeah. No, it's so funny. I've got 4 little kids at home, and one of our toddlers, we call her Feral, because she just disappears, and you never know, and she pops up. That's him at Tremendicon. Like, he's just, ooh, shiny. Yeah. It just disappears.
Because whenever you're catching Pokemon, shiny are not better. They're just a little more rare.
Just a little harder to find, yeah.
But, usually they're just as strong as the other Pokemon.
We joke as he walks by behind us while we're recording. That's perfect.
In the 4, we talk about 4 games that we've been playing recently. Phil, why don't you lead us off?
Oh, sorry. Where are we at? 4 games that we've been playing recently. I got very distracted because con life happens to me. Yeah. Tornado Splash.
Yeah.
Your woodland creatures on a jet ski race. And it was so much fun. I got to play it at Geekway this year. It was a little difficult because I opened it up and got disheartened when the rules were in Japanese, Korean?
So.
I have no idea. I think Japanese, but I found a great rule video for it online. Gotta love YouTube.
This year.
They had a lot this year at Geekway. A lot of Japanese imports and a lot of reprints with new artwork for older games, which at first when I walked in I was a little disappointed, no offense Mark, but then I saw them, I was like, okay, it's time to bring these things back. But Tornado Splash, I had so much fun. The cards are about 1 inch by 3 inch
like a pack of
cards.
gums?
Yeah, a little wider than a gum pack, but yeah, that's similar shape, and it's your path that you're taking for your jet ski race, and they've got slanted lines and you're trying to line up end to end or end to slant to plan out how you're going to hit the turns. And I think there's different jet skis which have slightly different packs of cards that you're laying down, but just the mechanic of setting out your path to race around. We did the around. I just learned getting ready for this that there were other paths we could have taken. But it was just such a fun mechanic of laying out the cards. And then my favorite thing was you can only get about halfway around the path or halfway through the path before you have to start reclaiming cards from the back. So the cards you played early are now coming back into play. And so you do have to think about, when am I going to hit the turns? I had so much fun with it. I wanted to play it again and again, but you know how it is at Geekway. You got to get through as many games as possible for those play-in wins as well. It was the one thing I was really hoping to win, and I didn't. So looks like eBay will be getting my money, is what the Google search just showed me for that one.
And maybe they'll bring it over, because one of the other imports was Railway Boom.
Yeah.
By Hisashi Hayashi, and right now it is just published by that Japanese publisher.
Okay. But
it's supposed to be coming stateside later this year, so I'm going to wait for it to get the U.S. publishing, because I like a good train game. Until it gets up into those 18XX series games, then that's too much.
Yeah.
I have my window or my ceiling, and that is Age of Steam. I can play Age of Steam and enjoy it with friends.
Okay.
And I know some of my friends that it's too much for them, and I get that.
That's fair,
but
yeah.
All the Iron Rail series from Capstone we've enjoyed. Iberian Gauge, Irish Gauge, Ride the Rails, South African Rails.
You have yet to mention the most famous trail game, or train game out there, Ticket to Ride, which everyone knows. It's my wife's favorite game, and some people it's not for them. But
I understand, and I got really nice trains to play our Ticket to Ride, and we haven't played it since.
That's so great. The number of times that we get an expansion Ticket to Ride, play it one time and go, let's just go back to the original.
Well, the Little Train Company makes these really ornate train pieces, and I got them because we play train games quite often, and we could use them on Ride the Rails. We could use them on Ticket to Ride and some of the other ones. And since I bought those, I think we've played one train game, and it wasn't at our house, so I couldn't use those little trains. I spent like $90 on those trains.
Oh my gosh.
But Tornado Splash was designed by Moyuku Arasawa, and is published by Arclight Games. And I apologize for my pronunciation, but we do in the 4 like to make sure we give the designers their credits. Andrea, what would you like to talk about?
Another newbie that I found at Geekway. Please don't burn my village. And it's probably not something that I would have picked up off the shelf, even though it does have a dragon on the cover. So I actually probably would have. But I was standing in line for a checkout, and the people behind me were being like, "Oh, did you try that Play to Win game? Please don't burn my village. Ah, it was the best thing. Ah, it was." I'm like, "Oh, really?" So I made my way over to the Play to Win library and picked us up a copy of Please Don't Burn My Village. And what you're doing is each of the players, you have your own village, and there's a dragon, and you're trying to give offerings to the dragon so he doesn't burn your village. Burn everyone else's village, but not mine. So you'll see the other players lay down their cards as offerings to the dragon. And then when you see what they've given the dragon, you have those items and there's a board, a sliding board where each of the items has a different value. So you're both trying to increase the value of your offerings and decrease the value of your neighbor's offerings so that their offering to the dragon is worth less, so they get burned and you don't. It is it's fun to watch people like, no, I just got all those swords, now they're worth nothing. And it's just great player interaction for such a simple little game. We had a lot of fun.
That was designed by Simon Weinberg and published by Fireside Games. They're the company that does like Castle Panic, and I think they also used to do the card shuffle game. We take 2 decks together, Smash Up. Maybe not. I know they do Castle Panic though. Anyway, Don't Burn My Village was very fun. You have like swords and axes and gems and potions, and whenever you play your sets, however many you played of a set of the item is how many spaces it goes up, but each time it hits wherever it goes, it shifts all the other items down. So at the very start, swords might be worth 5 points apiece, but at the end of the game, if everybody tanked it, you could have put out 10 swords, but if they're only worth 1 apiece, you got 10 points out there and somebody else might have 40. Well, the dragon saves whoever gave him the best loot and burns all the other villages that, value-wise, he didn't feel like you gave him enough. So very, very cutthroat, and you usually don't care for cutthroat games, but we were laughing and joking so much.
It was very
and this is what we played right before we went to Takano's, I think. We went and ate shaved meats right after this. So I think it was kind of on theme. Game I want to talk about is another Play to Win from Geekway. Their Play to Win section is so nice.
I find some of the best new games just no plans, just walk into that room and see what people are checking out. And I find some great games that way.
But same way, that's how we found Tower Up last year.
Yeah.
Tower Up was a very bland cover, but it's a fantastic game. We picked it up at our friendly local game store, and it's one I bring out periodically.
Yeah. So I mentioned the Mistborn deck builder last year at Geekway was the first time I ever got my hands on it.
Really?
So, yeah.
So this is published by Level 99 Games, designed by D. Brad Talton Jr. This is Spooktacular. In Spooktacular, there's a movie theater, and you are all playing as possessed movies. As the people are getting out of their particular theaters, on your turn, you're going to take a couple actions based on your card play. You're going to try and spook people into other rooms. You get a point for each people you get to spook. You're going to try and consume people. And as you're consuming people, there's 5 different colors. There's like red, blue, yellow, green, purple. And if you can consume all 5 of a color, you cash them in for a ticket. And the tickets, I think, can range from like 3 points to like 8 points. Something like that. There's a variance. All of your movies have different mechanics, though. So I had like a death pinball or something like that. And one of my mechanics was I would try and spook one person, and they would bump into another room and bump another person, scare that person to go in another room, and I could do up to four rooms. They all had to be the same color, and depending on color and how many rooms I was able to combo, depending on what power I got. so many, I might be able to consume what was still left in my room. I might be able to then scare the ones that were still in my room. I might be able to just teleport to the room of that last person that got scared. Andrea, what was your power? You don't remember your movie?
I don't.
Sarah had the possessed car, and she just tried to drive over people and pick up a passenger, and whatever passenger she picked up was her power. The problem was she would drive to the room, and then by the time all of us had activated our powers, we had just shooed everybody out of her room. She would drive to a room that would have like 9 people. And by the time it came back to her turn, we had systematically pulled everybody out of her room. She'd have like 1 or 2. She's like, this sucks. And I'm like, well, you can't go to that room. She's like, well, what do I do? And I said, I don't know. I'd drive away from us if I were you. So I think she did that towards the latter part, and she did okay.
It's a scary theme, but it wasn't horror. Like, it wouldn't be something you couldn't have around kids or something.
Yeah.
It was all in jest, all in fun, even though you're eating the moviegoers.
Yeah, but they're meeples, right? So
Right, yeah.
I was thinking of that. I'm just really impressed these days with what people are doing with asymmetric games. There's some really cool asymmetric games coming out, and just, I don't know. I enjoy that. As a game designer, I'm not ready to do that kind of mechanic, but...
Well, we pre-ordered that from our friendly local game store, and they said it's getting reprinted, and they should have a copy here in the next few months.
Nice.
But so all the movies also have a beginner, intermediate, and expert level.
It's true.
Beginner level, I think there was like 8 different movies to play as.
Oh, nice.
And then intermediate had like 6 to 8, and then expert had 4 or 5. And it told you, unless you'd played the game a lot, so beginners for people just learning the game. Intermediates, if you played enough, and generally they can tend to score quite a bit of points, so it recommends everybody know the game and play intermediate. And then hard is something to give somebody that's teaching the rest of the group at the table an extra challenge for them.
I love that.
To where the beginners will get the easy way to play the game, easy mechanics to learn. The hard gives you a little bit more that you have to go around and do to get your points. Or everybody can just play hard if everybody knows the game too. Really like that there was so much variance in that game.
Yeah.
That was designed by Peter C. Hayward. It is published by Level 9. No. The last game we're going to talk about, French Toast. This is designed by Peter C. Hayward. Published by Bluebeard Entertainment. And ours is published by Allplay. Bluebeard Entertainment is probably overseas. Allplay has got the U.S. publishing rights. French Toast is a party game, kind of in the vein of Just One, where a player is an alien that has landed on Earth, and the first thing it saw was a piece of French toast, and the Earthlings told him it was French toast, so he knows French toast. He's now trying to learn his second word. So he knows what it is based by the picture, and he knows when the word hits it correctly what it will be. But until then, he puts out a little hint of what he thinks it is. So you might put out soft on this hot and cold meter, and then everybody gets like 30 seconds to throw him some words to try and guess what it is. If they get closer to the word, he changes that word to their guessed word until, hopefully eventually, within 6 rounds, they get that word. So say my word is scissors. And their first clue is tree. Well, tree's not very close to scissors, and I would say French toast again, because that's the word I know. And then maybe they say...
hammer.
Hammer. Oh, hammer. Hammer's closer to scissors. And then like, okay, we're getting closer. And then we'll do another one. Now, at the end of the round, if they haven't gotten it yet, then I get another hint to come out, a hot and cold meter. Each of your hints can only go in one of the colors. You have a dark blue, a light blue, a red, an orange, and a yellow. And that's yellow is right on the nose what it is. Dark blue is cold, nowhere near it. I thought it was cute. I thought it was a new take on it. We talked that I kind of got burned out a little bit on Just One. I'd play it if the family wanted to play it. French Toast is a new spin on it. I think it scratches a new itch for me. I kind of enjoyed it. We'll play it a few more times, but like I said, some of our party games we'll play a few times. We burn on it, and we put down the road to friends that like it a little bit more than us. That was the 4 on the 417Gamer podcast. Our one topic of the show is going to be talking about our guest in WamWam Games.
My favorite topic is talking about myself, right?
I think it's a good topic. MoonCityCon is on its way. It'll take place August 14th through the 16th at the Hilton Garden Inn in Springfield, Missouri. Get your badges now at MoonCityCon.com. Don't forget the Infiltration Pack. It comes with an exclusive t-shirt, commemorative badge, a red velvet cupcake in addition to your attendee cookie, and 1 extra hour of gaming on opening day. That Infiltration Pack is an add-on you can find in the merch store. Come on out for some great games, prizes, good vendors, great times. MoonCityCon 2026, a meeple among us, MoonCityCon.com. The one topic of the show, we brought Phil back from episode 65 to talk about his company, WamWam Games. WamWam Games published their first game in 2022, which was Turn for the Worst.
Yeah.
Phil, what brought about you getting into board game publishing, let alone designing, let alone having a full company?
It's really funny. A handful of people have asked me that question today, like, why publishing? And the simple answer is because we're control freaks.
Yeah.
So taking it all the way back in 2019, I think I mentioned this in episode 65, my brother and I found out well after reaching adulthood that we shared a hobby in hobby gaming. And so we decided in 2019, our birthdays are only 3 days apart, 3 days in 8 years, because that's how math works.
Yeah.
But 3 days apart. So we decided for our birthdays we were going to go to Gen Con. You know, never having done a convention before, why not jump right in the deep end and go to Gen Con? We had a blast. We had so much fun. And on the car ride home, my brother's like, this is going to sound crazy, but I have an idea for a game. Do you think we can make it? And on that car ride from Indianapolis to St. Louis, we started talking through a game, and we had a lot of fun with it. And a week later, I had a prototype ready to go. And we played through it. Like, this is so much fun. And we just kept working with it and really worked into this game. And we haven't made that game yet because the production cost is really high on it. As most early game designers, we threw too much at it at first and spent a few years working on it. But while we were working on that, we decided, like, well, why don't we try our hands at some other games too? And Turn for the Worst came about because of a missed text message. Someone meant to say it a turn for the worse, but they typed worst in a text message. I was like, that is so funny to me. WURST, like a sausage. And that led us to designing this Rummy-style hot dog building game. And we had already decided we couldn't give up creative control of the first game that we had designed because we loved it too much, our first baby. So we're like, well, why don't we go ahead and try publishing? We'll self-publish this card game and see how it goes. And then, that came out at the end of 2022. And in May of 2023, it was a clue on Jeopardy! It won Best New Game of the Year at Riverfront Times in St. Louis. Which, to be fair, I think we were the only St. Louis game published that year, but I'll take it.
Yeah.
I actually know that's not true because it was 2023, and St. Louis has, Stonemaier Games and Greater Than Games, Gray Fox Games. Lots of, I think,
Tasty Minstrel.
Really great games came out that year in St. Louis. But so we got a lot of attention. We had a lot of fun with it, and we thought, okay, let's just keep going. Let's run with it. And a year later, we had Shiner, and then we had a little bit of a break between Shiner and this year, right now, Sharp Cheddar, right? Our third game is out, going to be hitting the markets this summer. So we kind of got into publishing because we didn't want to give up creative design of some things. And there are days that I really regret that decision, and there are days that I really love it, like getting to be here at a con and do that. So that's kind of how we got both into the industry and decided to become publishers.
So you said you're located in St. Louis.
So yeah, the company is technically in St. Louis. Jake lives in St. Louis. It's our headquarters is in the Tower Grove neighborhood of St. Louis. We grew up down the street from Bevo Mill, if people are familiar with the area. I live just outside of St. Louis, little southern Missouri Hillsboro area. It's a bit of a drive for us to go to meetings, but
for a brief period there were quite a few publishers.
A lot of publishers in St. Louis.
As you said, wasn't Dice Hate Me Games up there too?
I think so. Genius Games was, I think, briefly located in St. Louis. I think I mentioned them already, Greater Than Games, but they make Sentinels of the Multiverse, which is one of my all-time favorite games. Yeah, it's just amazing. It's kind of and there's a handful of other small publishers in the area as well. We have a really active game design community there, which lends itself well to publishers. Bearded Board Games, one of our really good friends. Prism Cortex is a new studio that's coming out up there as well.
Well, and you guys have an active tabletop community, not only because of the publishers, but also Geekway to the West.
Yeah.
They run a great convention. They also run a Geekway Micro and a Geekway Mini.
They're running out of words that mean small for how often they're doing conventions, which is really fun.
And then you guys also have some really good game stores up there. Miniature Market is one of them. They have 2 locations, one in Manchester, one in St. Louis proper. But there was game night up there, and what's the board game cafe up there?
Pieces Board Game Cafe.
Yeah, Pieces. I couldn't remember if Pieces was up there or if it was Kansas City.
Cafe. Yeah, and then we've got Hi Anime and Games, which it also has a national reach. They go to conventions all over the area and bring a lot of people into the industry. We're big fans of Anime and Games as well.
But I mean, when you go into it doesn't feel like Kansas City yet has the same, similar sized town, but there's not as much of the board gaming. But I do see quite a bit of the role playing. And then you go down to Tulsa. I don't see the board gaming there as much. It's just interesting where you have that pocket where there's a lot of a thing.
I think Geekway is a little bit to thank for that. As there are lots of gaming conventions that try and hit everyone's niche. And man, Geekway just hits board gaming. They really want those tabletop board gaming games, which I appreciate.
Oh, so how much of your life is dedicated to WamWam Games these days?
If you were to ask me, I'd say not too much. If you were to ask my wife, she'd say way too much, which is fair. Jake is less involved now than he was when we first started off, and he's excited to get back into it. But for a little while there, it's mostly been a one-man show, and that's really hard and really difficult. But I do, we're homesteaders, so we've got animals and a big garden, and then I have a day job. But it seems like all my little moments get piled up into WamWam Games, and we just have so many games, both of our own design as well as local designers we're hoping to get their games out. So anytime I've got a small pocket, it's coming in.
And you just delivered our Kickstarter game that you designed, Sharp Cheddar.
Yeah, that's
so. What is Sharp Cheddar?
Sharp Cheddar is a pub-style game, so it's a pass around the table kind of a game. I always tell people, we make family kitchen table games. I don't make drinking games. Yeah. This one lends itself very well to the games that I don't make. It's quite fun. It's a dice passing game. I always say it's roll and yell, which gets a chuckle out of people in the industry who like roll and write. So rather than nice, calm, roll the dice and scribble on your paper, you're screaming out answers at each other. So you're rolling the dice. All the dice look like cheese. I had a lot of fun designing them so that each die is completely unique. None of them have repeat patterns of the 1 through 6. Yeah. And then there's the cheese wedge, which initiates a party rule style game. And a cool thing with this is I had been, we do a lot of really small local things. We sell some 3D printed games and have print and play. So that's initially how it had sold, was as 3D printed. And so many people were like, oh, man, we need more of this, even to the point that we've got a page on our website where people are going to be suggesting their own party rules to add to the game. I've already got a few submissions that have come in. Only one of them is good, right? But I'll probably put them all up as they come in so people can try them out.
Well, because sometimes ideas start as a kernel, and then somebody's like, oh, okay, I see what they're going with, but if you add this to it...
Yeah, absolutely. And some games I think would be fun but don't match the vibe of the game. So it's someone else's, desire for the game as well.
And you alluded to in the last episode that you have a new game coming out that's upcoming.
I'm really hoping, like I said, to have it to Kickstarter early 2027. Pick Me Up. It's that really fast-paced letter spelling game, which is funny. One of my really good friends, when I played it with him, was laughing at me. He's like, Phil, isn't spelling the only class you failed in grade school? I was like, yeah, all the time. That's why this game's fun, because you can be rewarded just as much for small words as for big words, because it's how quickly can you get the dice out of the play area and into your own area is the go-to on that. I'm real excited to get Pick Me Up out into the world on that, as well as we are, hopefully, if everything goes well, reworking a game by another St. Louis designer to become food themed, because that's kind of become our niche. So we're taking a game that started out as a space game and making it about spaghetti.
Because even a couple of the games that you 3D print are not food themed, but they're on a food serving item. You have baking sheet hockey, you have baking sheet soccer, and you're working on baking sheet.
It's pie pan pickleball.
Pie pan pickleball, because it needs to be a round pie pan.
Yeah, it needs a round pie pan. So baking sheet hockey and sheet pan soccer are out. There are kitchen classic games, classic spelled with a K, because that's really fun. And we just, dexterity games are a little secret love of mine. My son and I like dexterity games together. Neither of us are good at them.
Yes.
Which makes it more fun. But it goes back to, we always found ourselves in the kitchen at all of our events.
Yeah.
And when all the parties end up in the kitchen anyway, we figure, why not start playing with the things that are in the kitchen? Although, kind of funny story, I'm down here in Springfield, and I brought not a pie pan to play test pie pan pickleball, but a cake sheet or a cake pan, because that's what I had. That was metal and it's magnetic. And yesterday was my daughter's birthday. We celebrated early, but my wife wanted to make her a cake, and she called me. She goes, "Did you take that cake tin with you?" I was like, yeah.
Maybe.
She worked it out. She figured out something else. She's like, she only has 2 of that size, and she like, Adeline wanted a layered cake, so sorry,
gotcha.
Adeline. Ruined your birthday.
Daddy had to play games.
Had to play games. Yeah, and those are fun, the Kitchen Classic games, because we're going to have the 3D print files for those, so they're going to be print and play. I love the print and play community. Martin's Print and Play Hideaway is one of my favorite places to jump on and look around their Facebook page, so
Nice.
I'd like to offer something to that community as well.
And the one game we haven't talked about, Shiners.
Yeah, I guess we mentioned it a little bit during the last episode.
But in this episode,
yeah,
I mean,
so
we've talked about the full library of WamWam games except for Shiners in this episode.
So Shiner, when I started making it, it was because someone was talking about they were making an 18-card game, and I had heard of that, but I never thought like, oh, that sounds like a really fun idea. And the basis of it started at Geekway, as so many things do. The car ride, the 50-minute car ride from the St. Charles Convention Center to where I live, I was just thinking the whole time, like, how could I make a game? And I wanted to make something that was kind of variable set collection. I wanted every hand to have a value, but depending on how you put your cards together changes, not just the cards in your hand, but how you use them, right? How you pair them up.
Right.
I started thinking about putting things together, and just the theme came to me immediately as moonshine. You know, being a Missouri boy, alcohol's a big part of my life. Not too big, I hope, but...
No, but I mean...
It's a big part
if
of our
you're a
culture.
baseball fan, I'm pretty sure Busch Stadium is your stadium.
Busch Stadium, during Prohibition, we produced more wine thanks to the Catholic Church in St. Louis than anywhere else.
And canned water.
And canned water. With my favorite kind of Budweiser story is the day that Prohibition was appealed, a wagon full of Budweiser left to go deliver it. It takes 33 days to make a Budweiser. I believe that's the right number. I've done the tour enough, I should know. So before it was repealed, we had already started a batch to send over to drive from
quick
St. Louis.
brewing on that one.
On that.
So, WamWam Games, follow them at their website at wamwamgames.com, and that's WAM. Find them on Instagram and TikTok at WamWam Games. Let's go on to the 7, where we're going to put you into the 7 questions of the 417 Gamer podcast. We haven't done this a bit because a lot of our guests have been repeats. So,
Glad to bring it back. All right, let's go.
You're listening to the 417 Gamer podcast. You can listen to us on Libsyn, Spotify, and over on the 417 Gamer YouTube. If you'd like to contact the show, head over to facebook.com/Hobby Gaming Network or leave a comment on the YouTube page. Now, on to the 7. The 7 in the 417 Gamer podcast is the 7 questions of the 417 Gamer podcast. We have Phil from WamWam Games sitting down and, sorry.
In the hot seat.
You're in the hot seat.
He's in the hot seat.
Which, the hot seat, melts cheddar maybe. Who knows? Number 1, as my list went away, what is the earliest game you remember playing, and what was your first hobby game?
All right, so the earliest game I have in memory is a house rule that we would play on checkers. So my mom had this giant checkerboard rug with like hockey puck sized checker pieces. But rather than play checkers, we'd play this game called Knockout, where you slid the checker pieces to try and slam pieces off the board. And we would play it with like regular checkers, like crokinole flicking, to knock them around as well. But I just have these earliest memories of being terrible at it. But my brothers, who didn't believe in letting me win, just dominated me in that. If not that, the second one is Monster Mash. I don't know if you remember Monster Mash. You'd hit the button on top and it would spin the random monster. You're trying to find the card and smack it. Those are just my 2 earliest games, and actually games that I've shared with my kids now since then. I had to go find old versions of them. So Knockout is checkers-esque, right? But
yeah, Monster Mash had 3 little pieces. They spun.
Yep. And you had these hands with like a suction cup on the end, and there was a card that matched how the 3 pieces spun. And
no matter how they come up, one of those combos was out usually.
Yeah.
I don't remember who made that.
I want to say it was like, I'm going to be wrong. I was going to say I think it's a Mattel game from back in the day, but I don't remember.
I'll look that up later.
I don't know. I was a kid. I don't remember what it was. I just remember smacking it and then hitting my brother when he'd get it first. And yeah.
Number 2, what color do you usually play as?
Green.
You're a green player?
Green every time. Green's my favorite color. I love playing as green. I now have 4 children, and my 3rd child, Adeline, is green in every game she plays. And so as a dad, I never get to be my own color. And so when you offered me my mic cord color, I snagged green right away. I had to get that. And whenever I go to convention, like, I gotta have green. But at home, I get stuck with whatever the leftovers are. That's
Understood.
where we're at.
Be a good dad.
It's
What
a
you
good
gotta do,
dad.
right? Gotta encourage them to love the hobby so I can keep, wasting lots and lots of time making games.
Question number 3, what style of games do you prefer to play, and what style of games do you tend to shy away from?
I tend to be fairly varied in what I like to play. My big thing is I like games that can be played in an hour or less. I like to stick to shorter games, but as far as style, I'm a big fan of worker placement. And now my current jam is deck builders. I do love deck builders. I go through swings where I hate them and I love them on that. So when I get to pick the games, like I said, I'm leaning real hard. Mistborn deck builder, I'm a big fan of. I got to play something at a prototype, a protospiel not that long ago, which was about cats saving a town in Russia during World War II, and it was a deck builder, and it was super fun. It was a couple years ago I got to play it. I'm just waiting for someone to buy it because it's too big of a game for our company.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I love me some deck builders, and then worker placement is a close second, as long as it's a quick one.
Nice.
Relatively quick, I guess. Yeah. And then as far as shying away from anything with an apples to apples style party game.
Gotcha. The
comparative playing cards. Someone makes
popularity.
a decision. It's it's so funny because we come from a pretty big extended family, and that was our cousin go-to game, and we loved it, and we had so much fun. And then once I played with anyone other than my cousins as kids, they're not for me. And it's so funny because I like when games have a little bit of innuendo. I like when games can be a little subjective, but there's something about that apples to apples, Cards Against Humanity that just gives me the ick when it comes to board
Understood.
games. Yeah. That's my shy away from.
Number 4, how many games are in your personal collection? Just an estimate.
I keep a pretty small game collection at home, actually, if we're just talking personal collection. Now, my day job, I'm a youth minister, so I've got about 100 games in my office that are technically mine.
Yeah.
But I count those as work games. So if
Sure.
we're not counting those, we stick to about 25 of my personal games at home, and then my kids have and they're allowed to have about equal numbers as well.
Gotcha.
One of the things, kind of a niche thing we do with our collection is I like to have a game in just about every room of the house. So that way, anywhere my kids are, they have a game to grab. It's a game and a book in every room in the house.
Nice.
Have yet to come up with a good bathroom game, but I think that's probably best sanitary-wise.
Baking sheet hockey.
There's a baking sheet. I can't use that baking sheet for anything else afterwards. But we'll see. Maybe I'll come up with a good bathtub game for the kids to play at some point. Right, Fortify is waterproof, isn't it? It's a card game, but I wouldn't play it in the bathtub. But
number 5, is there a game that you have not won but you really want to?
oh my gosh. The game I mentioned at the beginning, the Tornado Splash, I just want to play it again. But in the 2 rounds we played, I did not win. At least I don't think I won either of them. And I would love to have another shot at that one. Otherwise, for the most part, I don't remember which games I win or lose. I'm bad at keeping track of that. I just remember the vibe, the playthrough, and how it feels. So I can't think of a game other than that one because it's the one that's on my brain right now. And then there was another one we played at Geekway. Shoot, I can't remember what it's called. Whimsical creatures, mystical creatures, something like that. You're trying to find these creatures. I couldn't quite tell what. I played it like it was an engine builder game, and everyone who did that, we didn't get a chance to really have our engine kick off and start running points. And I'd like another shot at that game.
Wondrous Creatures?
Wondrous Creatures,
Where
thank you.
And you have the meeple that goes on top of the creature. Yeah,
absolutely. And you're just trying to remember, like I said, the cards, immediate vibe I got was like, oh, this is an engine builder. But then the end game scenario came about so fast that I was like, oh, I did not have time to build my engine. I want to try this again now that I know how quick it goes.
Yeah. Number 6, one piece of advice you'd send back to yourself as you were just getting into the hobby.
Run. Oh gosh, run. That's a good one, right? I think I mentioned this when I was talking about becoming a publisher. There are days I regret how much time I spend on the business side of the hobby. And so I guess this piece of advice I'd give myself, but also anyone who's interested in getting into the hobby, is if you really want to become a publisher, don't forget to just play games for fun. I went through a span where if I was playing a new game, it's because it was a prototype, and I love playing prototypes when I'm playing them to give feedback. really despise playing prototypes when someone comes up to me and goes, "Will you play my game?" and they're hoping that I'll buy it, and we're too small for that. But also, I have fun playing prototypes. I love new games, but I just want to play something that's out and is polished, and I get to just enjoy it and not worry about critiquing it. So, piece of advice I'd give both back to myself and anyone else as far as the business side of the hobby is, don't forget to just play for fun.
Nice.
And then I guess one other piece is the board game that's just called Zombies. Yes, it can be a 4-hour game, Phil. Don't make it a 4-hour game. People won't play games with you anymore. That is a college memory. It's a core memory for many of our friend group. When a new game comes up, someone will be like, "It's not Zombies, is it?" This isn't going to be one of those games where you make sure no one can win. So.
And that brings us to 7, which is just an excuse for me to make you give me 7 more games.
7 favorite games.
Yeah. What's your currently? What's your 7 favorite games?
I mentioned this last episode, so not going to touch on it too much. But Kabuto Sumo. Yep. I will play that all day, every day. I love me some Kabuto Sumo. My son has a game called Jurassic Snack, which is a head-to-head dinosaur eating grass. Kind of reminds me of the old games, like the old slider games where you have to go until you stop, like you move along. That's one of our go-to pickups at home. A colloquial game called Tic Tac Chess. We do a version of that with our box top games. I found it on TikTok. Went into a big deep dive on it. There's a bunch of different rule sets, and you're just playing with chess pieces, but trying to get 4 in a row. Again, I picked that up quickly. Love Letter, specifically the Bridgerton version, is my wife and I's favorite to play heads up. We love Bridgerton Love Letter. Will not confirm or deny how much I enjoy that trashy TV show. I love it so much. And so Love Letter on that one. Oh my gosh, I need 3 more.
Yep.
I'd be remiss if I don't say one of my own games, and my brother would kill me for not giving a plug. So Sharp Cheddar. I'm going with that one. I've mentioned I have to handicap myself on that one quite a bit.
And if they didn't kickstart Sharp Cheddar, do you have some sales through your website?
Not yet. So for you who backed my Kickstarter and anyone who sees me, I air-shipped some games in because I was tired of making you guys wait for it. And I just know it's going to be a long process. So my hope is we'll have games here before Gen Con. So I'll have them at Gen Con, and they'll go online right after that. Nice. So Sharp Cheddar, and I need to go 2 more. Hey, That's My Fish. Hey, That's My Fish is one of my evergreens. It's a game where you play as a penguin sliding around on icebergs to collect fish. But once you leave an iceberg, that's when you collect it, and it comes off the board. So you're cutting people off. That's one of the exception that makes the rule for me for games where the vibe doesn't match the gameplay. You look at it, you go, "Oh, this is going to be a cutesy, fun game," and it is so cutthroat. Yeah. Like the first time we played, so my brother Jake is my business partner. We've got a middle brother Nate, and my wife were the 4 players who played, and she almost cried because we were so mean to each other, and it was such an intense
and she was
game.
A casualty.
And she was a casual casualty on Hey, That's My Fish. But I still love Hey, That's My Fish, especially to break out with the teens that I get to play a lot of games with. And then I might have done these a little out of order, but I don't care. Dead Last by Smirk and Dagger is a party game I like to play. So as a youth ministry, we play lots of games like Mafia, Werewolf, stuff like that, Trader. Yep. Dead Last is like those games, but everyone's the bad guy. And you're trying not to be in the minority when you're voting off people. Everyone's in a tontine. You want to be the last person living. I love Dead Last because it just encourages people to be absolute buttheads to each other while pretending not to be. And it's whenever I've got a group of, it's got to be a big group though, right? Whenever I've got a group of like 5 to 8 ready to play a game, I'm like pulling out Dead Last.
Nice.
It is a go-to for me. That
Phil?
was 7. Holy cow.
Thanks for coming on the 417 Gamer podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to do so. We got to get Jake on here next year during
Yeah,
Tremendous.
That's the plan. Or the way this goes in 2 years.
2 years. Yeah, that's been the order. I'm so glad to be here though.
Yeah. Where can people find WamWam Games?
Our website, WamWam, that's WAM, games.com. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Search us anywhere. We're there. We do have some of our games up on Amazon as well as please ask your local game stores. Anytime you can ask them for indie games, it encourages us and just builds the hobby as a whole. We appreciate that as small game publishers.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Keep gaming.
In the 417 and in St. Louis.
314.
Goodbye.
The 417 Gamer podcast is recorded and produced by Andrea and Rick Bagwell. The intro music we use, Kind, Gentle, Beautiful Person, and the outro music, Making Up for Lost Time, was created by Origami Reptica. For links to our show notes, the music, and guest links, head over to our Facebook page at facebook.com/Hobby Gaming Network. Until next time, keep gaming in the 417.